So give yourself a look around, and then I want you to start some slow flight here. So give it at least an S-turn. Go all the way. Let's make a big right turn. Bank that wing over so you're looking around you. You're looking up, under. Just go towards, about 90 degrees this way, then you can go right back on course. That's good. Now back the other way. Now you can look what's over your wing here when you lift this wing up. Okay, looks clear out there. Looks good above. And of course clearing it on here also. Yep. Although I don't like that you can't see behind you very much. That's a setting. You can put the airplane in the middle or you can put it on the bottom, but then you can't see anybody coming from behind you.
Right.
And that's good. Okay, so mark your heading. I guess we'll start off on a heading of 360. And I want to work on a little bit of slow flight. Now the goal on the slow flight is to maintain altitude within 100 feet at all times. Go to your target airspeed plus or minus 5 knots. And hold on to this heading within 5 degrees at all times. Okay, so now slow flight is technically anything slower than what you're doing. So I can ask you for 80 and that is slow flight.
Okay.
If I were to ask you for minimum controllable airspeed, that means I want you balancing just above stall. So that one's not so much of a variable. So for now, I want you to slow it down to 75 knots, please. Maintain this exact altitude right from this moment on. Now flaps throughout this are at your discretion. However, the slower you go, the more useful the flaps will be. At 80 knots, don't do it now, but maybe 10 degrees of flaps next time.
Okay.
Kind of using them as brakes to help you get to 80, but then it gives you the extra lift afterwards. Okay, no, keep it at 80.
You said 75 or 80?
I'm sorry, 75, yes, sorry. Altitude. Don't be too shy with the power. Think about how much drag you have in the airplane right now. You really can't touch that nose unless you give it a pretty good amount of power. You're on what they call the backside of the power curve. The requirement for power is higher now than it was before because of all the drag you've got. And your goal is to get, if you do lose or gain altitude, try to get it right back to where it was. Keep yourself in the middle of that tolerance of 100 feet. But of course, when you're moving the altitude, you still got to nail the airspeed and vice versa, right?
Yep.
We don't want to, simply change one problem for another one. All right, keep this going, but turn left to Saratoga Lake.
Clear.
Now let's slow it down a bit more. Let's go all the way down to, we're going to go all the way down to 55 knots.
So now I could throw in some flaps or just...
Yep, that would end up probably with about 20 degrees of flaps. And of course, if you're going to use the flaps, they're going to act like brakes. So use them to slow down. Don't put them down after you're already at your airspeed.
So go 10, then 20, or right to 20?
Well, either way, really, but temporarily pushing forward against them. Primarily while they're in motion. And then continue with the power and pitch to get the rest of the way there. Now once you get to 55, Chuck, it's going to take a good amount of power. So you're going to bring that power right back up to, I would say start off at about 2,100 RPMs when you get to 55. That'll be a guess, but it'll be a, don't wait for the altitude to drop, because you will not get away with this. Right now you're getting away with it because you're pitching up as the airplane slows. Once you get there, you won't be able to pitch up anymore without giving it power. Don't be shy. Yep, you just have to anticipate that the airplane is just simply will not be flyable this slow with that little bit of a power setting. So it's arguable as regarding what's controlling what, but essentially you're pitching for 55 and you're using the power to maintain the altitude, but they directly work together. If you add power, you'll need to change your pitch. If you change your pitch, you'll need to change your power. when you need to recover from something like that, it takes a lot of power. Again, there's a ton of drag in this airplane right now. Okay, give me a right turn, please. Right turn, well, that way. I guess back to your heading bug. Now, while you're doing these maneuvers, any kind of maneuvers, the head always has to be outside.
Yep.
Of course, we need the instruments to fine-tune things. I could not look out the window and say, hey, you're 50 feet low or 200 feet low. That I need the altimeter for. But I can see if the nose, takes a drop or rises up all of a sudden, which will make me look.
3085, 15.2 for 17,000.
Okay, now I want you to go a little bit slower and basically balance the airplane where you hear the stall horn. So power back a bit. You can be. This is kind of like the end of a flare. You can be more aggressive with the pitch, and it's very hard for your. It's easy for the drop, not easy for it to climb. But don't hesitate. I'm not saying yank on it, but don't be shy. See how the altimeter's not moving? Yeah, there's the horn. Now keep it there. Don't stall it. Put that power right back in. No, keep the nose up.
Keep it up.
Keep the nose up. Just add some power. Do you hear the stall horn?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I don't anymore.
Down.
I want to hear it. I want to keep it right there. And like we said, this is kind of like the end of the landing flare where you can be much more aggressive on the pitch. You're not going to make the airplane climb up. There's the horn. Now try to balance it right there. Keep the wing level with the hands, but keep the airplane facing straight ahead, very importantly with the rudder, because if you happen to stall it, you don't want it to spin. But also just for your directional control, you're going to need right rudder in this scenario always. And just like it is on takeoff, a high power, slow airspeed situation requires right rudder always. Okay, keep working on that. Give me a right turn towards Vermont, which is pretty vague, but. Okay, now recover back to normal flight. So to start out with full, just like a go-around, full power first, because you're going to sink if you lower the nose or touch the flaps. Now start lowering the nose. Now you can go 1 notch of flaps. Because this all still has to, the recovery and the entry all still have to remain within that 100 foot of envelope, altitude. And then you're not done with the maneuver until everything is back to normal, which means normal pitch, normal airspeed, and then finally normal power. Then you're done with the maneuver. And a left turn up the river, please. Any questions in that maneuver?
No.
Overall, well done. Always keep that right rudder in mind. Yep. Anytime you have a high power, slow airspeed situation, such as takeoff, nearing a stall, or slow flight, in which case you're nearing a stall.
Yep.
Then it's very important to have that right rudder in there. And again, you'll need it for, it's not just a technicality. You're not going to be able to hold headings very well without it. If you are without it, then you're doing it with the ailerons only, and they're basically tipped over like this. You're using the wing to compensate for the lack of rudder.